because I'm a sucker for a beautifully illustrated book. So we usually read that one over breakfast and then the other one at night with our candle wreath. But my kids love Jotham's Journey. But you were saying like you gave up on day 8. It was so funny. Someone was telling our kids they love the Jotham's Journey book. And my kids were like, we do too, but he never gets where he's going. That's because I've never finished it.
Welcome to the Homeschool Perspective, where seasoned homeschooling moms share tips, insights, and resources to empower your homeschool journey. Welcome to the Homeschool Perspective podcast. As this holiday season approaches, it brings with it a whirlwind of excitement, activities, and family gatherings. But how do you balance all of that with your homeschooling routine? In today's episode, we're going to dive into homeschooling through the holidays. Should you use a special holiday-themed curriculum? Should you slow down your pace, or should you just take a break from homeschooling altogether? And how do you ensure that amidst all the hustle and bustle that you're still keeping first things first? So we are going to explore how to manage the holiday season while staying intentional with your homeschool journey. All right, guys. So let's kick this off. What do you guys do? Do you use a special holiday curriculum or change things up, take a break? What do you do?
Well, so when I'm planning out my year, I typically look at December as a month off, but we don't actually take the full month off because, frankly, when we're away from our routine, everybody just loses it after a while. Like, it's not our favorite place to be. And you already have that like space between Christmas and New Year's where like everyone's eating cheese and no one knows what day it is,
Absolutely.
That's so perfect. Yes.
It's true. And
Yeah,
my husband's
There's a
home
meme,
and,
fat and full of cheese.
Yes. So I don't look at that. I never plan for us to get very far in our typical studies during the month of December. We still do some things we'll keep up, but if we're not feeling it that day or if we have the opportunity to do something else, we do. And I don't stress about it for that month. But I always pick a Christmas curriculum that for us is biblically based. It's more of like an Advent style preparing for Christmas. We typically will get one and do it for 1 to 2, maybe 3. One of them we did for 3 years in a row because they just get richer and richer, and they help to create a lot of the ones that we've picked also implement traditions. So, there'll be books. So one of the things I do is just before December 1st, I take all of our Christmas books out and I wrap them as presents. And we open one every day and we read them. Lots of really great picture books and things like that. And I'll link those up with some of the things that are happening in that curriculum. So one of my most favorite Christmas books ever is An Orange for Frankie by Patricia Polacco. It is such a beautiful, I never get through it without crying a ton. And my kids will always sit there, is she crying yet? Are you crying yet? Are you crying yet?
Oh, how funny.
Because it makes me cry every time.
I don't know this book.
I just wrote it down.
Oh, you guys,
It's
called An Orange for Frankie, and it's based in a true story. And it is one of the most beautiful Christmas stories. I love it so much.
I love Patricia Polacco. So I'm surprised that
it's such a good one. I hope it's that. Now I've got to double check, but it's An Orange.
It is. I looked it up because.
Okay, good. I'm like, wait, right? Anyways, but every time we do that book, we all of these Christmas curriculum have the like making the dried orange cranberry line things for your tree. So like we always do those together. So I put things like that. And then we have some of our like basic family traditions. So that's what we really lean into during December. I really take the pressure off of our regular homeschooling stuff. I don't plan to get anything done. If we do, it's a bonus. And we really lean into those traditions and those sweet things. When I was a kid, my parents ran a photography studio. So basically from Halloween until New Year's, we didn't see them very much, right? Like that was the most intense time. We all worked in the family business. We, like even Christmas Eve, we always had at the family, my aunt's house, and my parents came late. Like it was just such a busy time. And my husband's family was similar. So like we really lean into the traditions, and then we'll pick up a curriculum that supports that. But again, we lean more into those like soft, sweet story reading things. And a lot less into our our homeschooling curriculum.
Yeah. So cool.
We do something similar in the sense that we plan it as a break, but we still do educational activities.
Yeah.
So I think that's because if you just totally check out, it's so hard to get your rhythm back on.
Yes.
But we focus on being present, being together. We love I call them random acts of kindness, but they're not really random because we kind of have to prepare and do them.
Act of
I'm not a really random spontaneous person, but for the kids it feels that way.
right.
But we have a really gentle rhythm. So in the house that we live in now, we have a fireplace and we live in an area that gets cold, which is like a super nice change of pace for what my kids grew up with. And we start most mornings. Daddy makes the fire before the rest of us are awake with, coffee or tea by the fire, a record on the vinyl player, an Advent read aloud in the morning. And then we kind of move into the day. And it's a lot of Lego building, tent making, but I'll throw out challenges like, can you make a tent with 3 bedrooms in it? And then they sleep in it. You know what I mean? Like we do fun stuff like that. But I'll ask them like, well, how many square feet is it? How many cubic feet is like, so we work things in,
one.
you know what I mean? But they don't know we're doing school, but like I'm keeping their brains going. So that is for us. And then my favorite family tradition and my kids too, because when we moved, I asked them all like what like things we had to take with us, like the most important things. It's such a fun thing to do with kids, right? Is like, what do you value the most? Every single kid said our Jesse tree wreath. So this beautiful wooden wreath that was actually made by Caleb Voskamp, Ann Voskamp's son. He he has a company, and we bought it from him that first year that he made them. And we read a book called The Jesse Tree, which like there are so many out there. This one's by Geraldine McCaffrey. I think I'm saying her last name right. Beautifully illustrated. And it starts in the Garden of Eden. And of course, it ends at Christmas. And it goes a little past the Christmas story. So we don't do it the 24 days leading up. We do it so that Jesus's birth is on Christmas. And then we finish it all Christmas night. Like we wrap up like the last 2 or 3 that are after his birth, because that just works well for our brains. But every night we add a candle and we light the candle and we read the book by Christmas light. And we talk about how like right now there's just this little flame, but things are dark. But by the time Jesus has come, like the whole room is aglow with like the 24 candles, and how it's like that as you get closer and closer to Jesus, you have more light in your life. And what's so fun is my kids will invite their friends over to come hear the stories. They love them. So that's my favorite part of getting ready for Christmas. And I know that's not like homeschooling, but we absolutely love that. This year, we're going to attempt to make ornaments for each of the stories. Every year we say we're going to do it, but this year, like I've already got the craft supplies. So like I think we're doing it.
That's awesome. I bought the craft supplies to do that. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Guys, I have never
They're
been
still in our
able-
Christmas box.
I've never been
What
able
are
to-
your what do you craft then? Because you're like the most hands-on person I know.
Me?
Yeah, like so what do you do that's hands-on for Christmas?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've never been able to follow a Christmas curriculum. Like I've never been able to do, everyone's always like, what are you doing for Christmas school? And I'm like, nothing. Like I'm doing whatever comes into my brain that day. But we also like I plan the whole month of December off as well. But I don't, as far as taking the break from our curriculum, although sometimes things sneak in, my kids want to do stuff because again, like that whole like just keeping the rhythm going is so important for them. And they also, have their goals of like get to this place by the end of the year, and so some of them are okay with like not meeting their goal and picking it up in January. And some of them are like, no, if I, this was my goal, this is going to get done. So they'll work, they'll do it in December. But I like to take a more laid back sort of approach to December and let them kind of choose. We listen to a book just about every year in the car, one of our audiobooks, and it's called The Promise and the Light. And it is a retelling of the Christmas story from a first person perspective. So it follows like Mary's perspective. It's such it's 3 perspectives and it just follows that. And it's just so neat because it feels so like current and now, because it's written in the first person. And I don't know, it's just a fun little thing that we do that we listen to in the car, because we always have an audiobook going in the car, and like that's our December audiobook. So because also
awesome.
I just feel like I cannot sit down every day and do the Advent reading, and we have done it in the past where we do the reading and we'd start it. I put them in little envelopes and we had them hanging from the mantle. And we get to like day 8 and it's like, well, that was the end. That was the end of
Was
that.
fun.
And even like the
Is
Jesse
that not the
tree,
most homeschooling mom ever, though? I'm sorry. Like, that is like,
you know? So I'm like, okay, what short little things could we do to, like fulfill that desire, to be like that, but just one-off things. Like I'm not doing the whole big thing. So we do a lot of Spark Schooling classes are set up for this. We have like holiday specific ones that that will do like the drawing ornaments, but I can't do crafts.
The
I can't do
Nutcracker.
glitter. The Nutcracker unit. We've got
we,
a really cool sleigh ride lesson that's like you're like doing body percussion all over your body and you're like clapping, patting your head, snapping, and like it's so fun. So like just doing one of those is like that's enough for me. Stuff like that. So that's what we do. It's and or like making the string of, like you said, the garland with the oranges and the cranberries, but doing it like making patterns. So like you're making a specific pattern, and repeating that pattern. So we're learning about that and things like that. So I don't know. It's random. It's super random every year. I'm going to try this year, like I, always am trying to like get my life together and get it like structured a little bit more, but we'll see if it happens. I don't know. I've got ideas. I've got lots of ideas.
what's your favorite Christmas book? Because I love that Allie just gave us a new one. Do you have a favorite one? Is it The Promise and the Light, or would it be something else?
It would be The Promise and the Light, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have one?
And really, for us, it's that beautifully illustrated The Jessie Tree. And I really do like Anne Voskamp's. I think it's called she has a kid one, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. But anyway, it's gorgeously illustrated because I'm a sucker for a beautifully illustrated book. So we usually read that one over breakfast, and then the other one at night with our candle wreath. Yeah. But my kids love Jotham's Journey. But you were saying like you gave up on day 8. It was so funny. Someone was telling our kids they love the Jotham's Journey book, and my kids were like, "We do too," but he never gets where he's going. It's because I've never finished it.
See,
so Jotham really does have a good end to his story, but we've never found it. So and we've been trying for like 12 years. So we'll see. We'll see if he gets where he's going this year.
See, I do picture books. We have
I love picture books too.
We finished that.
I do.
That's how we unwrap them. The kids keep it accountable.
Every year I say I'm going to wrap them, and every year I'm like, yeah, that's too much work.
Yeah,
it is too much work.
One of my kids really likes to wrap things, and I might have him do it for this year. So I'm going to get my list from Allie, and I'm going to go get my books, and then make sure I have 24 of them, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have him wrap those.
I love it. It's so fun.
We ordered, last year I ordered after Christmas a whole bunch of Christmas storybooks that went like 50 to 75% off on Amazon so that I could do that this year. And now I can't find where I hid the box. So it remains to be seen if our family will be trying to read a new book every day. Yeah. I got to find the box.
The box will come to
if not, it'll be next year, right? It'll be a surprise. I love though that like even my adult kids will come around for storybook time at night. I think it's like, when we talk about Christmas, it's not the schooling and it's not how we handle it. It's the togetherness that really brings it home for me. Because just thinking about that, I was like, oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
My two most favorite things about Christmas time are reading those picture books together. And then we make my great-great-grandmother's cookie recipe. And when we do, all the women in our family come over. So it's my mom, my sister, sometimes my aunt joins us. Like we all come together and we make this same cookie recipe that's been made for multiple generations in our family. And we listen to horrible Christmas music. And it's just that like sweetness. Oh, horrible. We listen. My older sister thinks that, well, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is her favorite.
That's funny.
And then Dolly Parton Christmas. Those are her favorite.
Okay, now
ones.
Dolly's Holly Jolly Christmas. I just got that vinyl last year as a gift, and it is one of my favorite Christmas albums. I love it.
I mean, we're Dolly and Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I don't know what the deal is with those ones. Those ones end up happening when we're making cookies.
Okay,
But
so that
anyway,
hit
I don't know. It's just that connectedness. Mm-hmm.
that hit several of the things that I wrote down here, like life skills, first of all, because you're learning cooking skills and you're learning how to plan and, all of that, how to plan for how many cookies you're going to make. So that's life skills. The building traditions, right? Like working on traditions, and you're doing that. And then you're also, depending on what you do with the cookies, you're serving others, like, I mean, you might be
There
serving
you
Just
yourself,
go give cookies.
but I mean,
we always do that. Yeah.
you give cookies. Yeah. But I mean, there's so many things that you can do for incorporating all of these really important things with those types of traditions,
Yeah.
because
Well, let's say
cooking, I
we
mean,
always watch
there's
the
so much cooking around
Nutcracker.
Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like we watch the Nutcracker, we listen to those musical scores. So I feel like there's a lot going on that's educational, that's just how we do life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just looking at things a little bit creatively and having that idea of like, how can I incorporate the traditions or the other things? Like books are easy. Picture books are an easy tie-in to school because school is, comes from books. I mean, that's an easy one. But the other things that we're doing, like Lisa, you were talking about building forts and doing the square footage, like, and making the garlands and cooking and baking and all of these other traditions and things, they're all, if you're just creative about like in your thinking about what you're doing, it's so educational as well. So when I think about taking the month off of school, like the formal curriculum, I don't do like a Christmas school. We don't take a month off of learning. It's just, I'm just thinking differently about it, and thinking how I can incorporate different things with where my kids are, their ages and their stages and what they're already learning and what we can kind of tie in. So I don't know.
Yeah. I love
one
that.
idea that I haven't done is to make like a scrapbook of the month and like, just like to, just to like write down what I mean, it doesn't have to be anything like super, I would put my kids in charge of this, but just like writing down what they did or putting pictures in of what they did just to kind of keep like a memory sort of book of it. And then it can like tuck in there, like what you, like what you did. So it's like proof. It's like your documentation for the month,
There you go.
That was an idea I had when I was just like, ooh, that would be, I don't know.
That would be
I don't know if
beautiful.
that helps anybody.
No, that's really cool. We do something like that at the start of the new year. We go through, so we just take pictures and videos. And then when we get to the start of the new year, we go through and we kind of backtrack and look at everything and put it together.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of having a place where you can put all those sweet little Christmas things that get made and created during that time.
Anything else?
I'm not a printout picture person, and I've often regretted that. So I like the idea of that. That would also be, not to like hijack your idea here, but just thinking out loud, I love celebrating the 12 days of Christmas from December 26th into Epiphany. And that would be a really fun activity to take everything that we did and to make it into like a book during the 12 days. Cause I'm always looking for a fun way to keep it going.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that would be neat.
I don't do that at all. That's a great idea.
Oh, we love the 12 days. So we do now, some of our kids are Ukrainian because we've adopted children as well as we have biological. So traditionally Ukraine would celebrate Christmas on what we call Epiphany. Now they celebrate it on December 25th. But the way that we celebrate is we take their tradition of the 12-course meal and we spend like 3 days leading up to Epiphany cooking, and we make everything from scratch, and we have the 12-course dinner, and we always invite friends over and we share pieces of the culture and make their favorite foods. We've done that for over a decade now.
Cool.
So that's like, so we do spend a lot of those 12 days of Christmas cooking because they love pelmeni, which is like handmade raviolis and things like that. and to make them enough
That
for
is
our brood
very
plus
cool.
friends, you know.
So can I come
Oh
over?
my goodness. I know.
Yes.
Like, that's awesome.
So I will be there this year.
Now, we don't always eat all the traditional foods because, like, I'm not making the fish and stuff like that. So what we do is we make their favorite foods.
Mhm.
But we have a book called The Spider's Gift, and it's a Ukrainian folktale. And it talks about the Christmas meal, and they mention some of the traditional things. And we always read that. We do a
I need
craft where
to
we
get
make
this
spider
book.
ornaments for the tree, and then we have the dinner.
Okay, you have to give us like an author and which one we should get because I want to check this book out now.
Yeah.
I'll have to
You
look it up.
guys,
I should know, but
my husband makes fun of me because the second our local radio station puts on Christmas music, which is like way too early, it's like creeps up every year. So now it's like, will it be before Halloween or on Halloween? I'm like the first one. I'm like, Christmas, let's go. But the day after Christmas, I'm like, and I'm done. Everyone get up. We are cleaning. This house is getting scrubbed from top to bottom. Christmas is gone. It's like evaporated the next day. I'm like, and I've maxed out on my Christmas cheer. We're done. Clean.
Oh, that's
we play our
funny.
first Christmas carol on Thanksgiving. And my
there you go.
family's rule growing up, like my aunt would tell us she would dock us a Christmas gift if we sang our Christmas song before then. And I don't think she ever would.
My family would
But-
not get any Christmas gifts.
Right? Like, but
No
that's,
way.
we're like so strict, but we have an album that we play. Like, we kick off with the same song every year. And it's funny, I got it for like
Is
$5
it
in
Mariah Carey?
a store. No, it's
I'm kidding.
Point of Grace, Winter Wonderland.
Oh.
I got it, the CD for like $5 at one of the Christian bookstores years and years and years ago. And we loved it so much that we have it queued up the night before Thanksgiving. And when the last person comes down the stairs in the morning, we hit play and we all have our sour cream coffee cake and our tea for breakfast, and we kick off the holiday season.
I
You
love
guys are
it.
so fun.
That's
Both
cool.
of you. I don't do anything like that.
It builds anticipation.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I mean, we have our own traditions and stuff too, but like I don't have a sour cream coffee cake or wrapped present or wrapped books. Like I don't.
The coffee cake my uncle always made, and I'm such a sensory person. The smells, the taste, like it's sensory.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to feel
yeah.
like a holiday for me.
Yeah. Sorry, my
I
brain.
love-
I've been intermittent fasting, and my fast is almost done. And so, talking about sour cream coffee cake is the alcohol.
Oh, see, I do intermittent fasting too, but I ate before this because sometimes when we're recording
That was
and my
smart.
stomach.
That was
I
smart.
was distracted by what kind of cookies grandma's recipe was. So, I mean,
They are sour cream cookies with cream cheese frosting,
Oh,
which for a lot of people sounds really weird, but
Oh,
they
that
are
sounds
amazing.
no, my
Everybody-
grandmother
and,
made
like,
sour cream cookies. I need that recipe. Like, I need to
and
look it
they're
up.
actually the best way to have them is like frozen. So like we cook them because my grandmother, this is probably a completely irrelevant story, but my grandmother was an entrepreneur. And so she would make like many, many, many dozens, and she'd give them to all of her clients in addition to everything else. So she had an outside fridge and freezer that would just be stacked with wax paper full of the cookies. And the kids in the neighborhood and her 4 children would go in and they would sneak the cookies directly from the freezer all month long. And it became a thing where like we all grew up eating them, like you would make them and you put them in the freezer and everyone eats them from the freezer. It's a weird thing, but they're delicious. But everybody loves these cookies. Like we give them to everyone and they are always like, you making the cookies yet?
Okay.
Weird traditions, right?
Yeah.
But that's cool. My grandmother would always make us gingerbread boys. And
Aw.
my grandparents would go to Florida for the winter. And she would always make gingerbread boys before she left and leave them with a note that says, here are 28 naked men. Please give them clothes so they're not cold for Christmas. And we would decorate them on Thanksgiving morning.
That is so cute. I love that. That's
That was
awesome.
how I grew up. And I used to make gingerbread boys every year. And then like 6 or 7 years ago, my cookie cutter got lost and I stopped and started buying them. And my daughter the other day was like, it's not the same. So this year we'll be making them before Thanksgiving. But that was like my whole childhood. I did it all the way up until after I got married. Like that was how we started. And the last year that I did it,
that stuff.
like the last year before they passed away, they were delicious cookies. After my grandmother passed and we lived in another state, I made them and I was going to share them with the neighbor. And my husband took a big bite of one and he was like, please don't share these with the neighbor.
Oh no.
I was like, what? And I had called my grandfather for the recipe and he had mixed up teaspoons and tablespoons. And so they were very, very salty. So we always joke about that. I've since refined the recipe and I've got it right now. But it was like such a nightmare. And I remember sitting down and crying because I was like, this is a nightmare. This is really like my worst nightmare. I can't bake. What's wrong with me? And it's so funny because now they're delicious and my kids love them. But isn't it funny how it's like those traditions?
Yeah.
And those things that we carry forward.
I love that there so many of these things are so, I'm not the crafty person. Like I don't want to go buy a whole box full of like stuff, like I don't want to do that, but I want to do stuff with my kids. You know what I mean? Like I want to do stuff. And I love that a lot of these things that we're talking about are serving a purpose. Like they're doing a tradition. They're helping others. They're inexpensive and they teach so much. So I think, those are the kinds of things that I like to do is like bring in meaningful learning that, is going to serve a purpose and not just like I don't know, a box
like a
of
cute
junk.
printable.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a time and place.
Time and place and they're cool. Yes, they are cool, but you don't have to fill with those things.
Right. And even more than the printable, I don't know. I'm thinking like, I don't know, like crafts and glitter and
glitter.
I would
say something glitter.
No glitter.
But
we need a shirt, guys. It just says ban the glitter. We don't know glitter.
But a cookie with sprinkles on it is like edible.
Yeah.
And it serves a purpose. And
it serves a purpose. Cookies serve a purpose. You've heard it.
They do.
They absolutely do. I don't know.
Absolutely do. You know what I love though about all of these things that everyone shared is that some of the things that have gone wrong or like haven't been the way they were intended have actually become the sweetest part.
Yeah.
I think we sometimes put so much pressure on Christmas and holiday seasons as moms because we carry so much of it. But seriously, like my grandmother having people sneak those cookies out of the freezer meant she had to make more. And she would get frustrated and annoyed. The cookies with the salt in them, like, I mean, all of these things, like when things don't go right, that's actually okay too. And I think
they make the best stories later.
They do. And I feel like that's such a sense of relief in a way to know that some of these sweet, most treasured things can actually be that Jotham never made his journey or that the beautiful mantelpiece never got finished. Like that's also a part of the tradition. And that's okay too. I think it can be such a sweet time, but we can quickly give ourselves too much pressure. So I hope that other people picked up on that aspect of every one of our stories that like, some of the sweetest stuff came out of the messes, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love that. Like that it's not going to go perfect and there's no perfect holiday season or no perfect December plan or curriculum or activity or cookie making expedition. I don't know. It's probably not going to go perfectly and your kids are going to probably laugh and tease you about it, and that's going to be like the best memory in the long run, right? It's when those things happen. Yeah. All right. Well, were you going to say something, Lisa? I feel like you were.
No, I'm like, that's so freeing. Like just the reminder, like I know this, I'm participating in the conversation, but I'm like, I'm taking that in. Yes. Yeah. Like here is to a stress-free holiday season. Just enjoying being together.
Oh, I hope that for everyone listening.
Yes.
That just felt so good, you guys. Like
roll with the punches. Just take it as it comes and laugh with your kids and enjoy it and have fun, enjoy it. And, just remember to keep those first things first. So, yeah. All right. Well, I hope that all of you listening have a fabulous holiday season, no matter what sort of path that you take during the month of December. I hope that it goes well for you and that the things that don't go well end up being fun and memorable for you anyways. And we will see you next time here on the Homeschool Perspective.